It might be a first for me to get into the semis without dropping a set, but that doesn't give me the trophy yet. So I still have some work to do, and that's what I'm focused on. I'm just happy I haven't lost extra energy, to be honest, and that's why I'm happy that I'm in this late stage of the tournament. Everybody was talking about maybe me playing Novak, but I wasn't rattled by the idea that it could happen. I was really concentrated on my path to first get there and then see if he makes it there, and he did it also quite comfortably.
I don't think I'm unbeatable. I don't think I can continue this run for the whole 12 months of the year, but I'm trying not to think about me losing or this run ending, just taking it really easy, slowly, trying to be wise and be very patient and play one match at a time.
There's a bit of a feeling for both of us, I would think so, that it's a bit of a tricky match just because there's a lot on the line, first of all, but I don't think that's the big reason here, but it's just that we haven't actually played so much against each other on clay. So we do know each other really well on hard courts, but then not on, sort of on the clay courts. So we'll see how it goes, and the beginning might be really key to the match, but we both have plenty of time to prepare. 4 days for him, 2 days for me, so people really should expect a good match.
So they're on court, two great champions, but quite humble. You can see that they know just how tough it is to get to the latter stages of these Grand Slam tournaments. They obviously take nothing for granted. Martin, how do you see this one?
Well, I firmly believe that Djokovic starts this particular match as the favourite, and deservedly so, given the record that he has established this year as the premier player on the men's tour. Roger Federer's coach, Paul Annacone, and if there's anything to take from some of those interviews just there, the fact that they have played so little on this particular surface, Wally, I think that may provide some opportunity for Roger Federer. And yes, he is playing better at this particular tournament. He's not under the same spotlight, so the criteria for him, we've always spoken about him leading into this tournament facing Rafael Nadal, and is he ever going to win the French Open, etc. And look, he's accomplished that now, so that he's under the radar. The focus has been on this man and this incredible record, and as long as he recognises that he is certainly beatable, and as gracious as he is, I still say the way he has played this tournament, what he's shown us so far, if he just plays that same way, he'll end up victorious today.
It's hard not to give him favouritism. I mean, that is an awesome stat, isn't it? 41 times he's played this year and 41 times he has won. You couple that with the 2 Davis Cup matches he won at the end of last year. It's 43 on the trot. Quite an extraordinary record, both the effort physically and mentally is to be admired. And one interesting thing, Mark, that fourth round match against Gasquet, he won that pretty comfortably. That was an hour and 47 minutes. That was 6 days ago. Then he got a walkover against Fabio Fognini, who tore his thigh in the previous match. So do you see that as a slight interruption right in the middle of a Grand Slam tournament?
No, I think given the amount of matches that Djokovic has played in tournaments, and that's what success does to you, is that it's the pressure, it's constant, and whilst we all yearn to have an unblemished record, it actually does pile up. There is that physical and psychological level, but sometimes you just need to have a break, and I think that would be an absolute blessing. The only question mark might be the very start of this match, because Djokovic hasn't played for 6 days. So if he can get off to a good start, then I think that is a good springboard for the rest of the match for Djokovic.
Okay, there is Marian Vajda. That is the coach of Novak Djokovic, a long-time coach. It must be said, he's been in his corner for a number of years now. And so, Mark, I'll ask you another question. The clouds have come over. It was quite a warm day today, got up around 27 degrees, but that's not the case now. It is 5 to 6 in the evening here in Paris. You can see the court covered in shade, cooler conditions. Do you think that favours anybody?
If these two had played at the start of the first match when it was warm, I think that would have helped Roger Federer, only by the fact that if he plays true to his game and tries to be aggressive. And we spoke about Andy Murray, and you know, whether he would be aggressive enough to take it to Rafael Nadal. The same applies here. You know, can Roger Federer, is he willing to bet on himself and use the balls to his advantage? We know that the serve wins him plenty of matches, doesn't it? I mean, that's what he relies upon so much, but it's also going to be whether he's aggressive and try to move forward.
I think it's a case that I think if Federer tries to stand toe-to-toe with Djokovic, it'll be the same result as when he tried to stand toe-to-toe with Nadal here for a couple of finals. He will struggle. I think Federer has to play a very expansive game. He has to use all of the weapons that he does have, and he has to get it right on the day. So it's a big ask, isn't it?
It is a big ask, and I would assume that that also means, you know, the backhand slice. I think you know, that shot today, it needs to be working. And if Paul Annacone has had any kind of input on the tactics, it is about trying to get him to the net as well.
Yeah, he's just got to use every part of the court, and he's going to have to defend well. And Djokovic at the moment, he's just like a brick wall at the back of the court, and he's hitting the ball. He's just throwing his racket head at the ball unbelievably. Now, it says mostly cloudy. Well, that is the case this afternoon. 28 degrees. I think that might have been an hour or two ago. I think it's dropped since then. So you can see Nadal at the top of the screen there. He is through. He has the luxury now of a massage, I would say, with the TV screen at the end of the table, and he'll be keeping a close eye on this one. It's a pretty fortunate position to be in, and the boys are going to go at it. So it'll be Novak Djokovic to serve first. Amazing, these two have played 22 times. Federer leads 13-9.
Flashy forehand by Federer already.
That was a feature of his play against Monfils, though, wasn't it? He was willing to take that forehand on, get it early on the rise. I think he's answered your question pretty early, Mark. I mean, that was a shot that normally I don't think he would come in on. It was not that well directed. He just hit it hard and straight to the net without any hesitation. He just dialed that up. Two serves at love 40, both at 200 kilometres an hour, both within an inch of the line. Somebody called out just as Djokovic was about to hit that forehand. It tended to almost jump into his chest a little. Too close to the ball, so Federer draws first blood. He leads 1-love. So Roger Federer, they're just taking a look in the crowd. Someone is, well, they're basically unwell and they're being taken by first aid out of the stadium. And that, I think, was the noise that Djokovic heard at the time as he faced that final forehand in the previous game.
Au service, Roger Federer. Premier service.
So you get the feeling that's what Roger has to avoid, that sort of stock standard cross-court backhand rally. You would take the double-hander over the single-handed player the majority of the time, and that was the case then. So that's where Federer has to kind of break that pattern a little earlier. Maybe the most improved shot in Novak's weaponry is that forehand on the run. In the early days, he tended to play that shot off the back foot. He would brush up the back of the ball. He was capable of dropping it short, but these days it is as formidable as his double-handed backhand on the run. 15-40. Djokovic straight back. Unusual to see two breaks of serve. Players of this caliber in the early stages.
Well, I think that's you know, what Djokovic is handling so very well, and that really comes with confidence. You know, and the supremacy that he has shown us this year. Everything is a lot more sound, reliable, and not phased at all by the break of serve. Just been able to play the next few points, the next few games, to a high standard. That's the shot just there that I believe today, if Federer can play, you know, just knife that backhand down low, you've got to think that Djokovic is strong off of both wings, forehand and backhand, because of that two-hander. He's able to be aggressive. Federer gives the players these days too much time off the backhand side. All his attack seems to stem from the forehand, so he's got to be able to smartly use that backhand slice to set up to get around for the forehand. He's not going to hit a ton of winners off the backhand side, Roger Federer. It's more to set it up. Again, he gets himself an error from Djokovic there. There's change of pace.
And you saw there too, the moment he got a backhand up high, he went down the line. If he goes backhand cross-court and proceeds to have a cross-court rally with Djokovic, I think it's a negative pattern of play for him. Once again, nice little change up from Federer, using that backhand slice. The next shot was a harder, flatter forehand. So the change in tempo bringing about the errors. And once again, Federer has 3 break points.
De-acceleration on that backhand.
It was a defensive return, but it actually worked well because Djokovic was dragged into the court and he wasn't willing to keep coming forward. I mean, Roger did not have to hit that backhand quite as well as he was trying. And so far, this is the shot, the cross-court forehand from Federer that is doing the damage. Novak, in an attempt to keep it away from Federer's forehand here, overcooks it.
And to try and lunge out to that last backhand, Djokovic losing control of it. How well does he dig in
on these big points, Djokovic. Refuses to give Federer a cheap point.
Premier service.
This is a beautiful shot hit by Federer. Forces Djokovic to come in, who balances himself. And that is quite remarkable.
Well, that ball was curling away from him, wasn't it? He wasn't actually close enough to it, but he had enough feel in his hands to make it. And I think you've got to take some credit for that shot, because you were his volley coach for a period of time a couple of years ago.
I certainly didn't want him to play that type of shot, of volley.
So there's that thoughtful slice, just trying to bring him in again. And this is what you were talking about, the use of that backhand slice to change the pace and to get him off that baseline one way or another.
Not a bad return. Again, when he's playing a right-hander, Federer, that particular shot is extremely difficult, even with a two-hander. Djokovic handled it well, but that was a sublime high backhand volley. And, you know, sometimes you're not sure of where the direction of that volley is going, but when you're confident, boy, they just come off your racket well. If you're unsure of yourself on that, I mean, that could land in the front row of the stands. So for Djokovic, you just nod and say that is too good, because it was a brilliant serve up high. Big backhand by Djokovic. Yep. Too good. Massive forehand by Djokovic, moving extremely well out to it. And that side volley just seems to have been tightened up. It's a lot more compact. There's less body movement.
That's right. The takeaway seems simpler, doesn't it, on that forehand wing? The face of the racket doesn't do too much behind the body. And how's this opening 3 games? I mean, there's no warming up period, is there? There's no sort of feeling each other out, trying to find some rhythm. They've just gone hard from the very first point. Advantage Djokovic. So Novak comes in. He does not necessarily want to hit a volley. He's hit 2 beauties already, but that's not the way he wants to play. So from that part of the court, he thinks, I'll try to hit a winner. And that's where Roger is asking the question of him. To hit a winner from down below net height, halfway up the court, is not easy. Mum and Dad, Mr. and Mrs. Djokovic, quite often courtside.
And he is working overtime. Djokovic gasping for air.
That's straight off the line. And this is one of those situations, isn't it? It's almost who blinks first, because Federer's probably feeling a little frustrated at all the break points that he's going by. But if he looks up the other end, Djokovic is under pressure. He's breathing heavily after some of these points. There's the Federer camp. Paul Annacone far left. Mercury's wife far right. Now, do you remember all those years ago? Well, not so long ago, when Djokovic used to have the breathing problems. He used to bend over and try to expand his chest. I don't know if we can read anything into this, but he actually doubles over after he chases this drop shot.
Gathered himself well before that serve. And combined with the breathing problems, there was that incessant ball bouncing before he took the serves, which engaged plenty of the crowd. Be able to count how many times that he would bounce has rid himself of that.
Slight mishit from Djokovic, but as usual, he gets through the tough game. He now leads 2-1 first set. All right, now we've been hearing the thoughts of players as to what they see as the key to clay being. Let's hear what Novak Djokovic has to say.
Physically, I think first you have to be very well prepared, because it's a slower surface in the sport and it requires a lot of physical strength and endurance, and you have to be ready to play 5 sets, especially here in Roland-Garros. The mental strength, you know, approaching, having a good approach to the match, and believing in yourself, and that's it, you know, just playing your game.
It's a familiar refrain, isn't it? The physical effort followed by the mental strength. Every player, I think, has touched on those two factors.
And that's something that Djokovic has paid great detail to. And I know through the period that I spent with the Djokovic camp, it was all in an effort to sponge information in order for him to take his place. I mean, inside their camp, the family, there is that strong belief that he is destined to become the #1 player in the world. Hasn't yet hit #1 in the rankings. In fact, is it if by the end of this tournament?
Yeah, if he wins this match, if he gets to the final, he will have enough points to overtake Nadal to be #1.
So he spent time through the curtain there. He spent time wanting to improve the movement towards the net and his volleys. He took on Todd Martin for a period of time to try and work in a better serve. Not shy about asking some of the previous champions their thoughts on how to improve his game. But it's the fitness side, that aspect, where he felt that the Iron Man was Thomas Muster over many years on clay, and has now engaged Thomas Muster's former fitness trainer.
Federer continues with the up-tempo tennis. Saw it all there. Crisp volley, backhand line, ace. And he's moving the ball all around the court. So far in this match, and it's been going for 23 minutes, even though it's 2-all, Federer has only really engaged in one cross-court topspin backhand rally, which was to his detriment. Since that point,
it's been backhand slice, cross-court.
The drop shot.
And the drop shot, and then it's when he comes over the top of it, down the line.
Tell me these guys haven't been thinking about this match for a while. It's just so clear how they're going about their business. Because Roger has a certain arrogance about him when he comes out on court. You know, even at Wimbledon, he doesn't serve volley. You know, I'm going to win from the back of the court. I can beat the majority of these guys from the back of the court, but you can tell that he's not so sure against Novak. Bit of thought has gone into this match for Federer.
Jim Courier sitting courtside.
He's travelling pretty well, isn't he?
Recently married. Not sure why he isn't sitting in the President's Tribune. That forehand again, working its way there to be an effective shot. Tough decision for the players now. Where do they attack? Which wing do they go into on Djokovic?
Just about every shot that Djokovic has to deal with is a different height. That one there, Federer just flicked up the back of the ball. Well above shoulder height for Djokovic. The slice, of course, stays low with no pace, down below knee height.
And on a lot of other surfaces that they play on throughout the year, you know, Djokovic can have some reward for this backhand slice. He goes for the position and the ball would shoot through, but on clay, it's going to sit up that just fraction longer, allowing for the likes of Federer be able to have a crack at that pass.
Just too deep. Roger Federer's court position He's got one hand on the racket to return, and from that moment on, he floated the reply. He was in trouble, and Federer's had 8 break points already. He's only broken once, so this will be a little frustrating if he can't manage to do it here. Back to deuce. Talk about the forehand and how he's tidied that up. Let's go back to this time last year, the Djokovic serve here and Wimbledon in particular. It was hard to watch.
You'd cringe every time he'd miss that first serve, and then he had to hit a second.
Now, big serving over 200 and accurate. Roger Federer cannot play any better, but he's having a tough time breaking down the defences of Novak Djokovic. And it's Djokovic who leads 3 games to 2.
Yes, that serve for me, Wal, that's really been the primary shot for Novak's unbeaten run that we've seen this year. You know, possibly that was a work in progress, though. Once he decided to move away from that horrible swing that he was trying to work on, it slowly but surely his confidence started to come back in, and he recognised also playing the Davis Cup. I think there was you can't play under more pressure conditions when you're representing your country, and they played a lot of matches at home in Serbia. The expectation that he had to shoulder in amongst being the team members, and he successfully navigated all of that. So he found a bit more of his own character, along with trying to work on that serve. And it's just, you know, a lot of people talk about his movement and the forehand's improved, and his willingness to come to net. But that, the centerpiece in all of that is confidence, and he's been able to, get through tough situations thanks to that serve.
You're right. The rest of your game certainly picks up when you're serving well, and that has been the case for Novak. And I think you can identify, too, the US Open last year as almost a seminal moment where he saved those match points against Federer in the semi. And he was exhausted in the final against Nadal. And previously in his career, there'd been some big moments where he'd just withdrawn from Wimbledon, he'd withdrawn from the French, and he had some injuries, but he was exhausted, but he absolutely put in against Nadal, and he just copped the loss on the chin. But I think it was a big step forward in terms of the effort required on a daily basis, much like Rafa has shown us pretty much from day one.
This is ridiculous shot making that is going on right now. How well they are hitting the ball. Quite a contrast to what we saw in the first semi-final, where there was a lot of fiddling going along from the backcourt. Extended rallies. This is just pure shot making at the moment. And a little change up of pace there on that forehand. Djokovic started the swing as if he was going to unleash, and then just deaccelerated enough, causing the mishit by Federer.
Couple of mishit backhands from Roger, and this is the trouble with a one-handed backhand on clay. Confirmed there by the central umpire. It doesn't matter how good your one-hander is, it's not going to match up with a great double-handed backhand at the other end of the court. You just don't have the strength. The variation is there, but we've seen that Djokovic is handling that pretty well. 2 break points, Djokovic. And how's that? Federer's had 8, he's broken once. Djokovic has had 2, he's broken twice. So the big first serve to the Djokovic backhand, he gets thumped back. When Djokovic serves big to Federer's backhand, he just chips it back, blocks it back.
207, that first serve came down, and look how well and compact the return was. And while it was a magnificent start by Roger Federer the first couple of games, how many times that we saw him at net, and since then.
Yeah, but you know, he can't play any better than this, Federer. This 6 games, and I think the weight of shot and the depth of shot from Djokovic outside of a serve volley point, I don't know how Roger can get to the net. All good. Djokovic immediately overrules the call. Good sportsmanship. But Mark, you know, the only way I can see is maybe coming in on a second serve of Djokovic, putting some sort of pressure on in that respect, taking the return and following it in, or maybe trying to serve volley body a little bit and coming in. He's pretty dangerous if you serve volley to the wings.
Yep.
But I'm not sure Rogers, that's the way he likes to come to the net. That's more of a hustle.
Yeah, he wants to come to net when he recognises he's going to win the point with 1 volley only.
And it'll tell us a little bit about Roger, won't it? Because he'd be disappointed to have all these opportunities. It's not how he normally operates.
No, you're right. The next few points, very big for Federer's side of the court. Well, he stood his ground, Federer. The anticipation and expectation that Djokovic was going to hit this forehand back to him.
Well, Novak slips, but it's just a brilliant wrong footing shot, isn't it? And it's tough to change direction sharply on the clay. He's not happy, but incredible cross-court forehand from Federer. Now, for the 3rd time, he's got love 40. So that's, I guess, what we're talking about. The fact that he had a second serve there, Federer, at love 40 with 3 opportunities, you would think maybe that's the one just to stand in and take a big cut at the ball. If you get a piece of it, keep going. Let's see how he approaches the 15-40 point. He's done it. And that's what you were talking about, looking to come forward, and once again, it's the cross-court forehand doing the damage. This is a tough first set. Djokovic still has his nose in front, 4-3. Mark, this is pretty good, isn't it? This is unbelievable, really, this first 7 games of the match.
Well, it looks like that Djokovic in this particular rally was willing to bet on himself going forehand to forehand. But as soon as he hit one short, strangely coming from the backhand, look how quickly Federer pounces on. There it is, and forward he goes. So there was some intent to go out and win that particular game.
I reckon that's a key game. Federer goes down 5-2 there, and he would be a little drained, thinking, well, where do I go from here?
Questioning himself on the change of ends.
You can see Novak, he gets quite open early in the piece, but the racket head speed is so great these days, he doesn't suffer. And early in his career, he used to really brush up the back of the forehand, but that has changed. Great shot there of the Djokovic slide. Outside of Nadal, maybe Monfils. I don't think there's a better mover on clay. You'd have to throw Federer in there. Also, an absolute prerequisite in the men's game these days. Foot speed. So the ball is thrown back into Federer's court. Have a look at that. Breaks points 1. Federer 2 from 10. He won't worry about the 8 that he squandered now. He's back on track. New balls. Just makes it look easy. 194 just inside the line, and the forehand was about 184 just inside the line. A lot of good servers in the game, but nobody, in my opinion, has a better second serve than Roger Federer. That was 186 kilometres an hour with plenty of spin, close to the line, unplayable. And a sneaky change-up, 159 with plenty of height over the net, draws the error. So Federer looks like he's enjoying the arm wrestle. We're back at 4-all.
New balls there, helping Federer's serve as well. Just the return of Djokovic zinging off of his racket.
How important is this first set, given how much these guys have put into it?
Well, I think it weighs heavier for Federer out of necessity that to win the opening set. And once more, you can allude to, you know, the great record that Djokovic brings into this particular match. I don't think he would be necessarily fazed by dropping the first set. Just catching the line.
He's got to play it though, doesn't he? I mean, he will get it wrong sometimes, and he does float this. You can see the height over the net, but I think this is what he has to do, and it comes down to execution on the day. He should not be deterred if he gets it wrong on a few occasions, or he gets past.
A little fortunate for Federer. In the previous point, he hit the backhand chip return, didn't get enough on it, and he was playing reactive. Makes a change, tries to come up over, as he clips the top of his racket. A rotation of the ball.
Accuracy and power from Djokovic off that forehand wing. He steadies the ship and he leads 5-4 first set. I agree with you, Mark. I think the first set, given how well Federer has played, if he doesn't get a reward in this first set, I think it'll be quite disheartening and a long way back to think that he's got to win 3 out of the next 4 against Djokovic. I think that might be too big an ask.
Yes, and the way that he's going about it, and granted, he is playing, both of them are playing to a high level at the moment, but it's still Federer trying to utilize that forehand, and we saw that last point, the big miss. If he's not getting enough reward, he's still at 5-4 down, and he hasn't built a lead, and I'm wondering whether he's going to try and go for too much on that forehand. That's what he has done. We've seen in previous encounters with Nadal in the final here, in an effort to try and, you know, win the point or at least get to net, and he starts to miss-hit wildly.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it, between playing this big aggressive game and then being impatient and overhitting.
Oh, and how wonderful it is for us to be able to sit here and say, yes, you know, he shouldn't be doing this and he's got to do that. It is, you know, the decision that these players have to make out there. It is such a fine line that they live on.
At the moment, both of them hitting the ball extremely well. Federer serving 4-5. Get the feeling the wind has died down a little bit too. That neither player seems to be having any trouble picking the ball up, or it's not deviating in flight. So that's making for a better spectacle.
On the one side of Federer again, Djokovic, a big return and follows up with another one. Look at that shot by Federer. And a two-hander. If it was Federer doing the attack onto Djokovic, you know that he's going to pick that up, send it back with a little bit of sting.
But how is that previous point? Just the depth from Djokovic. 2 balls inches inside the baseline, and then the third inches inside the sideline. And he backs it up again with another deep, measured return. Just constant pressure. He's not giving Federer enough cheap points. Now that ball deviated in the bounce. That's another thing. If you have two hands on the racket, you can make a better adjustment. Federer was caught, and the miss hit out of nowhere gives Novak Djokovic 2 set points.
Second serve. Very healthy pace, 175 Ks for a second serve.
Just stayed a little low. Shot through on Djokovic. And Federer had gotten a bad bounce himself to go down those set points. A little bit of justice, back to deuce. Well, he just tells us where he should have gone. Now, it is the high part of the net, but you've got to go line every day of the week here. He's got so much angle to work with. That just clips the tape. But have a look from this shot. You can see the line just so exposed. Federer returns the favour, smacks a couple of balls with pinpoint accuracy. Really extraordinary tennis. That's 10 games of the most pure hitting.
But I like the reaction by Djokovic. There's, even though he's held 2 set points, there's not the angst in his face having lost that particular game. He knows he's forced Roger Federer to play at an incredible level just to save the service game.
Merci.
The feature of this match so far for me has been the depth that these players are using. It was the forehand up the line there, inches from the line, that set the point up for Djokovic. Incredibly accurate hitting just in general play.
Nice. I would certainly like to see that by Federer. It's almost like a bit of an honesty shot. Big return, right on the line. One of the few occasions that Djokovic overplays. A little half chance for Federer at 15-30.
An additional warning, Mr. Djokovic.
That's that ball bouncing that you're talking about, just going over time. He has to be careful that he doesn't transgress again.
You can hear the crowd's response.
Well, they draw the battle lines pretty early, a French crowd, and Federer is a huge favourite here. Djokovic, of course, warned for taking too much time. He's saying I got there within 15 seconds, but then you have to get the ball into play. The constant ball bouncing took him over the time. And as great as the Federer backhand is, that's the one that's going to hurt him up above shoulder height. You think he pushed the envelope a little bit on that 30-odd point?
It certainly was.
Almost daring the umpire to give him a point penalty. Some of the best hitting I've seen on a clay court from these two men. And Djokovic, he hangs tough, as he has done all year, and he leads 6-5 first set.
Well, you could hear the effort by Djokovic in this rally, upping the workload on every shot. And the depth again. A little change up there.
That didn't miss by much either, did it? The final shot from Federer. And I think I almost heard Federer exhale for the first time on one of those backhands.
Interesting as well, with the aspect of the players' boxes as well. This is the first time that Roger Federer has actually had to have his crowd over on the right-hand side. Roger Federer has normally been here as the #1 seed, and therefore when the tickets are dealt out for the players, Roger Federer is usually on the left-hand side. So it's almost like a little butting of the heads here. Not that the position of the family and friends and the coaches will have any real relevance. But an unusual position for the Federer clan to be seated on the right-hand side of the court.
Seeded player has the choice.
The higher seed, yes.
The higher seed, okay. Quality of the Djokovic hitting, and Roger's intent is to make things happen, but you can see as this match goes on, less and less opportunity to make things happen. He's being just kept at the baseline, and it's turning into a baseline duel. He just doesn't drop the ball short enough, Djokovic, to attack, even when he's at full stretch. I mean, Roger's finding it hard to get to the net. The drop shots are few and far between.
Huge forehand by Federer.
Once again, depth is the order of the day. I mean, that's passing shot accuracy, isn't it? Players can do that when they've got a target, but just in open play, it's extraordinary. Djokovic acknowledging that. He's hit his share of lines. There's another line. Rod Laver always used to say, you've got to hit for the lines. I think I understand what he means now. Just go for it. Brilliant serving from Federer. Some real symmetry here. The match is just on an hour old. Federer's got a point now to make it 6-all. 1 hour of the highest quality tennis you'll ever see on a clay court. It hasn't been clay court tennis. They've just smashed the ball at each other. He's done it. And Federer pumps himself up. You won't hear that too often, but I think this is a massive tiebreak coming up now in the context of this match. Somebody is going to have a big letdown in the second set.
Both have been very strong in their tie-break records this year. Djokovic playing not as many tie-breakers and still has a very healthy tie-break record.
Djokovic.
And this is what we talk about, the mental strength of Djokovic. He's been in so many pressure situations throughout the course of the year and he's come up trumps. He's got to go to the well one more time here.
Well, I think it's very clear who this crowd are supporting today. The response to the end of this point. Great defense by Djokovic. One more time.
That is as good a point as you're going to see. Just sweet hitting and clever tennis in the end from Federer with the volley. Even he's impressed. And it takes a bit to impress the Swiss maestro. 1-2. Djokovic serving. And Federer continues to take the ball on the rise. He continues to time it sweetly. You've got to remember that both men have broken twice in this set. It took Federer 10 break points to do that. Djokovic just 4. So Djokovic has been a little crisper on the big points to date. They're all big in this tiebreak now.
It's a big serve for Federer. I should say Djokovic. Stay within reach of Roger Federer.
Just 201 on the line. Standard. Federer, he's just so full of purpose. He's finding it hard to get to the net, so he does the next best thing. He just crushes the winner. He was on his way forward directly after the hit. He's had a bit of success wrong footing, Djokovic, hasn't he?
I was going to say, well, that Djokovic wasn't shy about thumping that return. Martina Navratilova.
Your old mixed partner?
My old mixed partner, most definitely.
You knew how to pick him, didn't you?
I certainly did. Helped her to a title.
That's good, isn't it? That shot there from Roger. You just see how delayed the wrist is, and then it comes flinging through. Very different follow through to Nadal. Djokovic feeling the strain. 4-2 Federer.
Well, that was interesting. Djokovic baited Federer on that particular point. He took his service return stance, just opening the door for the wide serve. Federer doesn't go for it. Pays the penalty.
Points just being won. Just outright winners.
Both players exploring the middle of the court there. Baiting each other. Who was going to flinch first?
We mentioned that Rafa's through, of course. He's on the massage table with the big TV screen in front of him, and he's thinking, I'll have 4 more sets just like this.
Yeah, just keep throwing swings at each other, fellas.
This is a heavyweight battle right here. 4-all. Tiebreak, first set.
Oh, the forehand by Federer. It's the one that he tries to increase the quality of shot, and he just hits it out of the contact point, out of the hitting zone. Starts to reach for it fractionally.
Yep, just getting out in front of it, and he was going for that wrong footing forehand again. There's a big gap to the forehand corner.
That's an unusual miss.
I like that forehand, though. His cross-court forehand, it's almost forcing Djokovic to change the line of flight. That's tough to do when you're a little tense. And Federer now, this set is 1 hour and 10 minutes old. The Federer camp looking pretty passive. He's got himself a set point.
It just looks like they're clenching their fists. This is the position that we wanted to be in. Set point.
Paul Annacone, very rarely does he get to his feet. I think he realises the importance of that set. And Federer has taken it 7-6. Does Djokovic suffer a bit of disappointment? Does doubt creep into his mind for the first time this year? Or does Federer suffer a letdown? Can he play? He's played 1 hour and 10 minutes of perfect tennis. Can he keep that going?
I think if you take a poll between some of the journalists down in the media centre where we've been working, I mean, they've been talking Roger Federer's fortunes up in such a big way this week. And, it's almost like they have been waiting for this particular match for Roger to throw this type of tennis at us. Certainly didn't see it in the early rounds that he was able to play to this level. Of course, it might be given that his opposition has inspired him. He's almost like the forgotten man through the clay court season.
Well, the great thing for Federer now, I guess, is he's got this set under the belt. If he does have a little dip, which is to be expected,
the damage isn't as great.
No, he can kind of refocus and maybe play in spurts. Quite often the expectation exceeds the actual event, but there was a real buzz around the grounds. You know, obviously this match, two players in the best of form, so much to play for. Djokovic on the cusp of being #1, and they have both come out and delivered. Federer's wound the clock back 3 or 4 years with this performance. Just perfect. You think about a lot of his matches at the French Open when he's played big matches here. You know, he's been a little scrappy, a lot of mishits, and hit enough winners, but it's been littered with unforced errors, but not today. And another feature for me, Mark, is the serve speed of Roger Federer. Quite often 210, 211. And that's not like him. Normally he serves a bit within himself, high 190s and accurate, but he's serving 210 and accurately too. He's just leaving nothing in his bag today. This is an all-out assault.
Hors de 40.
Pointing towards the court, the reason why he didn't have a healthy hit, a controllable forehand. So first break point going to Djokovic.
40.
Cleanly on the line. And Djokovic has been covering the wide serve throughout the opening first set, especially on that second court, and he is covering the tee quite extensively on this first court.
Avantage, Federer.
The big serving continues for Federer. 200 Ks on that occasion. The consistency is there, the percentages are there.
Premier jeu, deuxième match.
So we kind of expected maybe Rog would have a bit of a lapse, but he was down break point, served his way out of trouble.
And that's what's necessary, isn't it? The lapse, you don't want it to, the severity of it to last for, you know, longer than a few points. Able to defend well. And look at the amount of winners coming from both sides of the court for one set. I mean, you would maybe have players that hit 18 winners in a whole match, but that's just coming in the first set.
But look at their numbers. I mean, all positive, just incredibly positive numbers. The first serve percentage, I mean, it statistically backs up what we know. That was an absolutely first-class set of tennis, as only these two gentlemen could have provided us with. You consider styles against styles. I mean, you would have been put Rafa at one end of the court, and then the whole thing changes. The complexity of the match changes. Becomes a bit more dour and a bit more of a grind, more endurance involved, but that was just two heavyweights standing toe-to-toe. Oh, sorry, they just continued where they left off. Just brilliant.
15.
Djokovic may be guilty. He was deep in the court there and hitting the ball a little too hard, giving himself no time to recover, but extraordinary tennis. And Martina Navratilova in the background. She was applauding before that ball even bounced from Federer.
Hors de 15. Djokovic. Un jeu partout. 15-0. Zero.
Just a serving exhibition. Different paces, different spins, but all finding the mark. And with disguise, Djokovic had moved backhand and the kicker was coming. Just slid around the side of the ball, and it's another ace for Federer. He leads 2-1, second set. He can't serve any better than this, can he, Federer?
Well, it's certainly a part of his game that he has relied so heavily on in the past couple of years. But, you know, you said earlier, Wally, that you know, what a delight it is to see Federer give everything to this particular match. And he's, you know, whatever the outcome, so be it. But he is giving 100% because there have been times when we've been left wondering at this stage of the tournament, whether he's playing Nadal in the semis or the final, you kind of think, well, why didn't he, you know, put the foot on the accelerator much more? Today is just, I mean, it's been a tremendous effort by Federer.
Yeah, I think you're referring to that final, and where Nadal romped through him, just lost a handful of games. And Roger,
a couple of finals.
Yeah, Roger was so passive, wasn't he? It was so one-dimensional. It was hard to believe for us watching such a great player that he could leave the majority of his game in his bag. And that's, I guess, what you're alluding to today. He's just, I mean, he's coming out of his shoes, really, isn't he? He's just taking driver on everything, and it's working. There's no laying up for Roger Federer today. Quite a do. Crowd absolutely enjoying this spectacle. You get the feeling that they favour Federer slightly.
Just by about 80-odd%.
Well, he's so popular everywhere he goes. I mean, people love him, and they love the way he plays. And he's got the record, 16 Grand Slam titles. He's been so successful everywhere he goes. He's got style, he's got charisma, he's polite. What's not to like?
Well, also he's gone through so much heartbreak here.
Tough shot to play off no pace. And it's surprising, isn't it, that the no pace ball has been the one. You go back to set point. The no pace delivery has been the one that's troubled Novak, provided it's hit with a bit of depth.
Gaza. Gaza 30.
So once again, this will give us a good look at that backhand from Federer right on the line.
And there's the change of pace. Federer not going for the big time forehand, just rolling this low and no footwork. from Djokovic. He just takes that one step. When you are down, you know, break points, the difference of being able to escape them really does rely upon that finding the first serve delivery, and it's certainly the percentages. You can go back to his play all year, Djokovic. When he's down break point, he's been able to come up with a good percentage of first serves into play.
Case in point, 15-40. Two big first serves. Trouble averted.
And it's not necessarily the pace either. I mean, that was healthy, 204 Ks, but he's been able to find the corners of the court. And then given the fact that he can transport himself quickly to the next shot. Good return by Federer, forcing Djokovic just to lose the two-hander. It's down low and short. And isn't that a particular play by the players today? When an opponent hits a chip backhand with no pace, they quickly get around and dominate with the forehand.
And it's the slow ball again. Djokovic having to provide all the pace. A little unlucky there, clipping the tape, and that's a massive net cord. Not going in his favour. So Federer, I thought he would be the one that would have the first letdown after the effort of winning that first set, but that's not the case. Jumps to an early break, and Djokovic is looking up at his camp. He hasn't been under this sort of pressure for a long, long time. Another serving display from Federer sees him consolidate that break, potentially now with a 40-love lead. Ball girl has had a little mishap here, just trying to retrieve that serve. Ouch, that hurt. Maybe hurt her pride more. And Roger has lost a bit of concentration. Basically, the ball girl stumbled badly over the chair. Swinging serve out wide, draws the error. And Federer now, after just 20 minutes, has raced to a 4-1 lead here in the second set. This is getting pretty key now for Novak Djokovic. The mood that Federer is in, if Djokovic goes down 2-0, wow, you get the feeling it's a long way back. What can he conjure up from here? So far this year, he's been perfect. And he'll need to be perfect from here on in. And Federer, he's such a champion. We'll just have a look at the winners by set. Well, that first set was just extraordinary from both men, and Rogers pulled away here in the second, but Goran Ivanisevic is, of course, playing in the Legends event, and I have noticed a lot of the Legends who aren't commentating have come to watch Martina Navratilova's front row. Jim Courier is courtside. Gustavo Kuerten is watching. Thomas Muster has been up in the stands. They're all enjoying this. That's a great shot of the Federer serve. There is so much energy going up and not out. It's an interesting concept that all the energy of the Federer serve is directed up and over the ball, not forward to the target. There's the one-handed slice. He comes from very high above the ball. He generates a lot of spin. Just a blocked return there. So Djokovic now with it all to do, trailing 1-4 here in the second set. And the first casual shot that we've seen from Novak Djokovic. Slow ball, perfectly placed, and again, Djokovic unlucky. The net cord doing him no favours whatsoever. Set up nicely. Love 30.
Yes, halt.
And Djokovic, there was a half volley earlier in this game that was casual by his standards. That's an unusual error by his standards. And you just wonder whether this pressure that Federer is exerting is starting to take its toll. 2 more break points for the Swiss.
Calm down. Down.
Again, the slow ball. Just sitting there and saying, hit me. And Novak not enjoying having to create his own pace from deep in the court. Similar numbers there, the Federer winners just in advance.
Threw everything out on that particular point, Djokovic. That second serve clipping part of the line, and this was a big forehand. So perhaps living on the edge at the moment, given the scoreline.
And you just said it, living on the edge once again, crushing that ball pretty flat. Not quite the margin that he had displayed in the first set. And you go back to that game that Federer was down 4-2 serving in the first, and Federer hung on and got himself back into that set. This is the same sort of situation for Novak right here. Absolute must-win game, down break point. Does it again. Federer's break point conversion is not pretty today.
Just seeing Djokovic look up towards the player's box there. Just let them play this particular point. If you think back, Wally, to the moment where Djokovic got the time violation for when he was serving, he didn't react too badly, but his father sitting up in the stand was up in arms about it and made a few waves. You watch him from our commentary position. But then as soon as he lost the first set, Djokovic's dad has left the stadium. And they take prime seating. You know, every time he's back there at this position and he's looking back up, you know, he sees the empty seat. Mary Pierce sitting in the presidential tribune. But for 5 games now, and his father plays in it, you know, has a lot of presence when they arrive. Diana and Sergin, they sit there, they take the prime seats, they move Murray and Vida down. They only turn up from the middle weekend. But now, at the moment, Djokovic is looking up and he's seeing this empty seat.
So you're saying, and you've been involved in that camp, you're saying the family dynamic is pretty important. There's Goran, even Ivanisevic there on screen. And without the father present, Novak, he keeps looking back, almost waiting for him to reappear. You think it's affecting his performance?
Well, he does, you know, he goes out and has a cigarette, but, you know, a cigarette doesn't last 5 games at this stage.
Well, Djokovic coming out of his shoes again. Maybe it's a cigar, we don't know. But Novak has definitely come off just that little bit. But that was, there he is again, looking up into the crowd. Not sure whether that stare was directed at Murray and Vida or the empty seat that you referred to, but definitely looking towards his camp a little more than normal. So he hangs tough. He stays in touch. That's what Federer did in the first set.
So that's the view that Djokovic, that was a quick glimpse of his players section.
Gee, he did live on the edge there in that game, Djokovic, but it paid off. 2 massive forehands, a second serve at over 180 on the line on one of the break points. Funny how things can turn. Federer 4-1, 15-40. One of those points, and that set is over. 2 sets to love, and Federer's in prime position. Djokovic hangs on. Federer loses concentration. 2 errors. Can he serve his way out of trouble?
15-30. 30.
So 2 balls just long from Novak Djokovic, and Federer navigates a tricky situation. And he's got the break, 5-2. He leads second set, having taken the first 7 games to 6. Well, my co-commentator Mark Woodford feels that there's just that little bit of byplay with Novak Djokovic and his camp. At present, Novak not quite as concentrated as he was in the first, and definitely he has been looking in their direction quite a bit, and his play has suffered, hasn't it? His concentration has not been what it was. And there we go with the 3 shots or less. Federer very dominant when he goes in for the quick win, not allowing Djokovic to really settle into any rhythm. That's what Djokovic is hoping to kind of map out his play more than what Roger Federer would like. Well, those numbers there, basically 8 shots and under, it's all Roger. 8 and above, and Novak's twice as likely to win the point. So Roger should have a little shot clock in his head. The moment it gets to 7, just pull the trigger. Don't go beyond 8. But he's done a great job of this so far in keeping the points short and in his favour. Now Novak's mum is gone. This is not usual. There's 2 empty seats at the end of the Djokovic camp. So Djokovic serving, and Federer has done an incredible job of putting pressure on the Djokovic serve. He has generated 17 break points so far. He's only broken 3 times. It just shows you how well Djokovic plays the big points, but it shows you the pressure the serve is under. And pressure will bring errors. And they're coming in bunches.
Down 15-40 in that opening game of the second set, able to fight it off.
Well, if there's any juniors watching this, Roger Federer has just given us a lesson in how to defend. Look at this. That's well above shoulder height. He knocks that back deep and high. Little squash shot within inches of the line. That's good skills, isn't it?
Oh, it's tremendous control on that squash-like forehand. Oh, clean. Out in front, doesn't rush through the forehand.
0-40.
And the spin that he imparts.
Oh, that tickled the top of the net.
15-40.
That would have been absolutely perfect. Well, Rogers, I don't think he can call. He played on. He can't call this.
It's on the line.
Yeah.
Who called out?
Well, no one. Called good. But Roger played on. He was looking for the next ball. You've got to... You can't run back to the centre of the court. The umpire should not have got out of his chair. He should have said, no, you played on. Anyway, break point saved. Set point saved. 30-40. Well, that was passive from Roger. 2 balls just beyond the service line in the centre of the court. Just couldn't get a piece of it to get himself in the point. Cross-court forehand, it has been on song all tournament. I've told the story, Heinz Guntard, a fellow Swiss former player who's followed Roger his whole life, says when Roger's cross-court forehand is on song, his whole game flows. He burns people with it, and that has been the case today.
Give him a bit of praise. Go straight to his head.
He almost invited Djokovic in there, didn't he? Djokovic obliged. Roger just playing a couple of tight points when he's had set point. He obviously realises the enormity of this game, this set.
Premier service.
It's just that extra bit of pace with the forehand cross-court, Wally. It's forcing Djokovic out of his comfort zone wide. It's a beautiful return. You can see he starts to dominate, good footwork and utilising that forehand.
I think there's just that little bit more tension in the arm on these set points because he's been knifing that short cross court, so he's had good racket head speed to dominate the spin of the second serve. This game, they have all floated pretty much up the middle of the court and said, hit me. Djokovic obliges. Once again, Roger playing up the centre of the court.
Avantage, Djokovic.
To his detriment.
That last forehand by Djokovic hit with plenty of sting, spin. It's not often that you can beat Federer without getting a racket onto it.
Interesting game. There's Marian Vida. He doesn't look that confident right now. Clapping more in hope than expectation. But Mark, 5 set points. Played a little tentatively. And Novak's rolling the dice. This is a big game right here.
Well, the opportunity to go 2 sets to love up might be a little nerve-wracking for even someone like Roger Federer.
His love 40 opportunity was the best chance. He hit a drop shot that absolutely landed on top of the net, but fell back in his direction. Once again, the serving is just about perfect.
15-0.
Well, naturally, we see Djokovic make his opponent play. Federer standing up tall on this volley, not really in any crouch position, doesn't hit it cleanly, but it lands in. It's almost nursed that volley.
Net. Second service.
Incredible depth again from both players.
Out to 15.
Interesting times.
Counter.
5 set points in the previous game for Federer. 30-love lead in this game. Is there a bit of tension creeping in? Novak, he just turned the dial to not miss.
Hard to count.
Federer is going to have to win these points. He's going to have to come up with something special. Novak, pretty good conversion rate there, 2 from 5. He's batting around 50%. Federer, he's battling. Novak just asking the question. Linesman umpire confirms that that was indeed the mark. Federer snuffs out a break point with an ace. Back to deuce.
First serve. Again, finding the mark. Djokovic still moving, giving plenty of space on the wide serve. Federer not going for it. Instead finds a heavy down the tee.
done it. Not without a struggle. But he has navigated his way through this second set. And I don't think too many people predicted this. Roger Federer up 2 sets to 0.
Well, interesting to hear Andy Murray, you know, respond that he feels like, oh, you know, so many people say it's you know, you just go out and you have to attack the net and go for broke against Rafa. Well, yes, you do, because, you know, otherwise he gets caught in a match like that, and he believes, you know, I'm just wondering whether he's had a chance to speak to some others about that match, but he believes that was the way to play against Rafa. I mean, I'm perplexed with that.
He came out firing, didn't he, Murray? He came out, drop shot, volley. There was plenty going on early.
Oh, he's down 5-1.
Yeah, but I think...
So nothing worked?
No, it didn't work, but I think from that point on, he went to a more conservative approach. But it's not something that you can necessarily persevere with against Rafa, is it? A conservative approach.
And given that Rafa certainly is not playing his best tennis. So I don't know. You know, look, he's the one that's out there playing at the moment, but boy, I certainly feel like he's left something out of his game, out of his repertoire, and he has such a deep game, Andy Murray.
Well, let's put it into perspective, though. The only man to beat Rafa here is Söderling. Once. He's lost here once. And Söderling, basically, that day, Rafa was tight, he was tired, and Söderling smashed him off the court.
By going for it, making sure that every short ball was, you know, sent back with a strong purpose.
But he's one of the few players that can actually do that, isn't he, off both wings?
Yep.
So it's a riddle for the tour to try to beat Nadal at the French Open. And Mark, just one last point on Andy Murray. I think what he did here and the tennis that he got and the type of tennis he played and the tight matches is great for him going into the grass court season, where he has a real chance.
Agree entirely. Been an exciting month on the grass for Monsieur Murray.
If he can handle the local press and local expectation and the theatre that surrounds a Scot playing at Wimbledon. Back to the French Open, and Federer keeps applying the pressure.
So even in the first game, Djokovic in a bit of a struggle to try and hold serve.
Mark, a little stat for you, that Roger Federer in Grand Slam tennis, on 174 occasions, he's led 2 sets to love. How many times do you think he's lost from that position?
I don't think there'd be too many.
Never.
Never. Quite astounding. There were 2 backhands by Djokovic that he had to defend while he was still moving. This was one of them. And to find that angle from that position.
Totally calculated. And the whole point set up with that little chip cross-court return. That opened up the court. So the Federer brilliance continues. Just on Federer's 2-sets-to-love lead. I did see him lose once from 2-sets-to-love up, and that was in Davis Cup play against
Djokovic.
Leighton Hewitt down in Melbourne. At Melbourne Park, Federer 2-sets-to-love up. Served for the third, and Hewitt came back as only he can. But it doesn't happen too often.
Djokovic.
Djokovic hangs on, leads 1-love in the third, but he has a big mountain to climb. He's lost the first 2 sets. The boys have been at it for just over 2 hours. And Novak Djokovic, he's looking at a 2 to 3 hour stint to fight his way out of this.
And the stats still evenly balanced, with an exception of the unforced errors, the pressure that maybe Federer was putting Djokovic under, and the break points won. 12, 1 of 12.
So Novak continues to play the big points really well, but Roger just keeps coming. He doesn't get disappointed with his break point conversion. Roger's had 22 break points in this match. He's only broken 3 times, but he's not getting phased by it, is he? He just keeps coming. And you made the comment, who's going to blink first? Roger has not blinked yet.
Zéro 15. Quinze. Quinze 30. Quinze 40.
So the game's not over yet for Roger Federer, down a couple of break points, but is this the stage where he blinks?
Well, he has to lose concentration at some point. It's hard to sustain the effort and the quality that he's displayed over those first 2 sets. And you know, Mark, in previous matches, his volley has been, well, it's a good volley, but he's missed some casual volleys. But today, the volley's been perfect. Incredible control of the racket head there. Just catches the ball, places it inside the service square. Well, Federer was in some sort of doubt that the ball had caught the line. He knew it. And Novak has affected the break. And Mark, the slower ball now, Novak, he's just working it heavy. in the previous 2 sets, he tried to hit winners off that slow ball. He made errors. But he's just working it heavy and just waiting for more opportunities, being a little more patient. Or better opportunities, I should say. Just apologising for that ball that scooted off the line, but it was a good shot. He hit it well.
He hit it well, but just that hesitation by Roger Federer causing him to miss-hit, trying to play catch-up on the next backhand. Just shanked it, caught it too early.
Gets Federer with a change-up, 144 on the first serve. Where does Roger go from here? Does he... Rafa will just play every point as
Novak,
as the last, just on and on and on. Does Roger just freewheel it here and try to get a break, or does he dig in, try to take something out of Djokovic to win this third? Federer at times, when he starts to play a bit of catch-up tennis, if anything, he goes for more. Tries to make things happen a little quicker. Not something that he's done so far in this match. A quick scoot out to the backhand corner. And just watch the improvisation here, because he gets a little tangled up. It's directed pretty much at his head, but he just smooths through the line of the ball. Stays incredibly low. That's clever. Djokovic consolidates the break, and no question Federer has just come off the boil ever so slightly. Djokovic now leads 3-love, third set. Well, I'm curious. I just wonder how Roger approaches this. You know, Rafa, he just tries to take something out of his opponent all of the time. And even if you win a set against him, he extracts something out of you. Roger's not that style of player, and sometimes when he's ahead, he plays even faster. Goes for more, and the errors can start to multiply, and a set can go quickly.
But in the same breath, you know, Djokovic, it seems, you know, he's taken a bit of pace off of his own shots, and he's ready to, you know, draw the line in the sand and be prepared to try and tough this out. Not go for as much, certainly on the no pace balls that are being offered to him by Federer. And this set could quickly disappear for Roger Federer in the favour of Djokovic.
Good reaction there from Federer, wasn't it? He doesn't give too much away usually until the end of the match, but he had invested so much in those first 2 sets, and I think that reaction, that relief that he displayed upon winning that second set is a big part of the reason that he's had this little drop, this three-game dip. Let's see if he can arrest the slide now, serving, trailing love 3.
That just zipped off of his racket.
0-15.
Precise approach by Federer. Gee, the trajectory.
Full marks to Djokovic. It would have been pretty disappointing to go down 2 sets to love. This would mean so much to him this tournament. To be on this incredible roll, it'd be great for him to have a Grand Slam at the end of it. So he's brushed aside the disappointment pretty well. He's competing, he's fighting. To win that many matches in a row, and we're talking about 43 in a row, there must have been some days where he was not feeling great, not hitting the ball at his best. But he's found ways to win.
Well, that shot's on.
30-40.
Maybe surprised that this ball is hit right back to Djokovic. Held his ground. And just pace of shot.
Great spot, wasn't it? Forehand hit. Tough to defend against. Djokovic a chance now to go up 2 breaks in this third set.
Roger, obviously, as that ball's coming into him, you can see how far back Djokovic is.
Federer.
You won't get too many of those missed returns from Djokovic off a second serve.
Djokovic mène 3-1.
Federer gets on the board. Here in this third set, still Djokovic with a service break at 3-1. Sun just poking its head through the clouds late in the day. It is 8:15 in the evening here. You'd think that there's only about an hour and a quarter left of light. If this goes 5, I don't think we're going to finish. That's the sort of hitting that we had for about an hour and 10 minutes in the first set. And Djokovic, there's that slower ball, which he had tried to pull the trigger on earlier in this match and had made some errors, but not now. He's just getting that ball back with a bit more weight, a bit more spin, and he's waiting for some pace to try to make something happen.
30-0. Autocans.
And it just shows you how good Roger's weight of shot and his accuracy has been, because if you dish up anything mediocre, Djokovic will punish it.
And some deep breaths there by Djokovic. Shot selection. A little rash on that last forehand. No need to go for it too soon. And that's a very big miss. You know, I was about to say, if that's got to be a little rude if it drops in.
There's the president of the French Federation saying it missed by that much. If that went in, that was the best shot I've ever seen. I mean,
his arm was fully extended.
It was behind him, but just wide, unfortunately, for Federer. Djokovic fires up once again, playing the slower ball cautiously, but not without a struggle. He holds serve. He leads 4-1, third set. Mark, it's almost as though the two players are just having a bit of a breather, aren't they?
Well, that's the feeling I got from Djokovic in that particular game, or the last two games. Just on cruise mode. But, he knows that he's got to fire up here after winning that particular game. Doesn't want to get to, you know, too flatlined. To be able to keep working that work rate here. Very important for Djokovic.
That missed backhand from Federer, the one at full stretch where he nearly hooked it round the corner for a winner. It just kind of reminds you, though, doesn't it, just how mercurial he is, what he can create out of nothing. And just the most dangerous of opponents. Got this ability to serve well for long periods of time and then come up with a little piece of brilliance. That one just missed. That would have given him a break point. Jim Courier, a man who knows how to win the French Open. That's his wife, I presume, the lady with a big rock on her hand. All right. Federer serving, trailing 1-4.
15-0.
Just no leg strength for Djokovic to get up to this.
30-0.
Just couldn't get enough to climb into the air. And all the same, amazing forehand by Federer.
$40-0.
So that shows the first serve points won, not the percentage of what they're landing, it's their win rate.
45.
Federer outstanding in that area.
Je Federer.
So Novak there, he basically did not seem that interested in playing too many long points. He's got the break. Maybe he's setting his mind just to serve out these next couple of games, work hard on his own service games, conserve a bit of energy on return.
Which is not a bad thought process to actually, play with. But we just saw that graphic that showed his first serve win rate. Not as healthy as perhaps what we've seen at other stages of the tournament for him, or other matches, I should say.
Well, that's right, only 59% for Novak Djokovic.
He's only throwing in the 2 aces in the whole match as well.
Funny things, drop shots, when you try to play them to win a point cheaply, they don't work in your favour. You really have to set the point up, and more often than not, you have to be ahead in the count. Ahead on the scoreboard. As a way out, they invariably don't end up in your favour. That was the shot that did a lot of damage in the first couple of sets. The cross-court forehand, taken on the rise, hit early. And if Novak made that, he would go back into the forehand again and wrong foot him. It's a couple of good bluffs here from Federer because he knows he can't cover the open court. So he makes half a step in that direction, but basically just holds his ground, and that was just into the tape.
An abbreviated follow through. The ball was dropping very fast. Just the reactions of Djokovic. You know, it's not a hot, it's not warm out there at the moment. We're almost at 8:30 local time, so the temperature has dropped a bit, but in between points, it's Djokovic that is going back to the towel a lot more often. So held on the last forehand.
Very measured from Novak Djokovic. He now leads 5-2, third set.
Djokovic mène 5 jeux à 2.
So, Mark, Federer worked a lot harder in this point than Djokovic, but who do you think's expended more energy so far in the match?
Well, certainly, and that's a reason why I feel Djokovic is going to the towel more, that he is starting to feel it. As I mentioned, that it's not warm out there right now. But in between points, he seems more laboured when he is losing points than the reaction. So is it beginning to take its toll, even though he has a break of serve? And maybe the next 2 games might give us a more clear idea.
And we can confirm that Mr. Djokovic has left the stadium. At what point did he leave?
Well, that was after Novak lost the first set.
Right.
As soon as he lost the first set, he up and out of the court. And
most unusual, he has not returned.
No.
Novak has done a great job of turning this set around. Not going away. He's up for the fight. Federer serving to stay in the third set, trailing 2-5. Once again, Novak not showing any real interest in contesting that game. A couple of big serves from Federer. And he got out lead early. Novak kind of lets that slide, and we get the feeling he's saving himself for this opportunity to serve it out. Federer just bouncing from foot to foot. What's he got left in the tank in this third set? Can he mount any sort of challenge in this game?
Different level of intensity for Djokovic. Much more alert in this particular game, trying to serve the set out, but having a look up at his folk there. Obviously concerned about his movement with the shoes and the court back there, very bare.
And you have to say that in this third set that Rogers' shot making has been more subdued, it's been more conservative, he hasn't been hitting the ball as closely to the lines, and Novak is enjoying the fact that Federer is not quite as dynamic as he was in those first two sets. More time, more energy, and Mum's up, she's happy. Marianne Vida is up. Haven't seen too much of that throughout this match, and Novak Djokovic has taken the third, 6 games for 3. It's something that I think he has to avoid. You know, he's got to get that good strike in, and it's a risk, and he's got to execute it well. I still think he's a long way from home here.
Yeah, the first couple of games, again, you know, can Federer, you know, pick up his tempo and just go back to that dynamic tennis?
All will be revealed. Federer serving. Fourth set.
And there's no doubt that Djokovic would dearly love to be able to break serve early. He doesn't want to let this fourth set drift into the latter stages. You know that the crowd support fully on Federer's side. Was able to refrain the crowd's input in the third set with the early break. To an easy hold for the number 3 seed, serving first in this fourth set. And not as much as a casual game by Djokovic as it was Federer serving extremely well. And again, the slight difference. The winner's the same, unforced errors. But maybe some better serving by Djokovic, not allowing Roger Federer any break points at all. And those 3 break points coming in the opening service game of Roger Federer.
Premier service.
Federer just closing in this game. Murray and Vida not liking this situation. Get the game firmly on your side with a 40-love lead.
Djokovic. Un jeu partout.
Well, the forehands of Roger Federer back to that level that we saw throughout the first two sets. Really snapped over every forehand there. He's looking at the line, recognises it's still not going to be called long.
That's one way to keep your head still over the shot, isn't it? Watch the mark. Novak just looking skywards. He can't quite believe it when he miscues a return. Light fading. 20-9 here in the evening in Paris. Well, I think we've only got one more set left in us with the light as a factor. The sort of shot you go for when you're down 40-love. All or nothing here from Djokovic, and right through the line. Perfectly placed, 40-15. Once again, not interested in extending the rally there, Djokovic.
He hasn't made any of those today.
So Djokovic, a shake of the head, but we're on serve here in the fourth. Federer leading 2-1. Mark, you talk about the crowd as a factor there in Federer's favour. If Federer can just get that 2-1, that 3-2, that 4-3 lead. We saw it a bit with Gael Monfils when he played David Ferrer. The crowd get involved in the latter stages of a set, and maybe that's what Roger needs, just to tip him over the line here.
Yeah, I agree entirely that Djokovic needs to perhaps pay some attention to the early return games of Roger Federer. Without a doubt, with that ability at this stage in this fourth set to hold serve, be one game ahead. You know that the crowd, the deeper that it goes, the closer that Roger Federer does move towards the finishing line, the more the crowd are going to jump in here and try and elevate him, push him over that line.
Of course, Federer can do that himself with one brilliant shot or an incredible passage of play. He can bring the crowd right into it. But the scoreboard, if it gets tight in the fourth. That will certainly bring the crowd to the edge of their seats. Djokovic serving. He trails 1-2. Fourth set, Federer 2 sets to 1 up.
This was an area of Djokovic's game that was falling apart in the opening 9 months of last season. He just wasn't able to play a match where he could rely upon that serve. If his movement was under a cloud, didn't have confidence from the backcourt. He wasn't able to play the match, just using his serving ability to help score a victory. And it's certainly changed now, that newfound confidence. And it seems for the majority of the third set and the early stages of this fourth set that he's willing to bet on his serve, the quality of serving.
Roger's father. He was never in evidence early in Roger's career as Roger's career has developed these last few years. He's been more of a regular courtside. Just not quite the same venom in the shots or the footwork of both of these players, and it is understandable. I think that first set just took so much out of them. It was virtually a perfect set of tennis from two men. Just hitting every ball on the edge of their limits, and they just all happen to go in.
The attention factor for Djokovic when returning Federer's serve now. If he's not playing a part in the first 2 points, if he's down 30 love, the game just goes quickly. Very quickly.
Federer, an ace to finalise that game. He leads 3-2, fourth set. Always tough to know what... now, I'm not sure Djokovic just shaking his head. Not impressed. Maybe not seeing the ball that early now in fading light. But Roger, he sits down at end change here. He's up the break. That's a beautiful position to be in. He's a tough guy to know what goes through his head, but you would be telling yourself, I've got to get one of these first 2 points. I've got to build something in this game.
And as much as, you know, the years that we have called his matches with against Rafael Nadal, and you kind of ask of him to come out and show some feeling and bounce around and get the crowd. He's so aware that the crowd is there for him, but he doesn't really utilize the crowd to help him. And, you know, just as you say it, when the umpire calls time, right now that, you know, why not run out there and try and get the crowd lift?
Well, he's Roger Federer. He doesn't do that. No, he is. He's actually, he's kicking his heels up. He's run across to the forehand here. That was quite animated for him between points. Let's see if he can just find that little bit of spark and innovation just to get himself into the game. Djokovic serving, trailing 2-3. You can hear the roar of the crowd. This is what we're talking about.
And nothing wrong by Djokovic. Plays a nice little bunt down the line.
Good move from Federer. So he plays the drop shot. Oh, that's the final pass. But he actually took 2 steps into the court. He made Djokovic very aware that if you drop it short, I'm there. He played the more conservative bunt up the line and paid the price. Love 15.
And as we've spoken about, getting into the heart of this 4th set and the reaction by the crowd. Every time Roger's winning a point, it's worth an extra few points to him. It's a little tight on that last backhand. Federer not under too much duress.
The hitting goes up a gear or two from both players.
Oh, impressive point by Djokovic there. It's all on his shoulders at the moment. And certainly would be able to sense that the crowd, whilst he has his supporters, majority of them are for Federer. Finds it with the first serve down the tee. That was big. Great comeback from Love 30 down.
And now Djokovic has got a bit of adrenaline flowing. Talk about hitting your way out of trouble. Aces, clean winners from the back of the court, and that's the reaction. Federer at 2:08. Fastest serve of the match, 2:13. For Djokovic, has to put so much effort into holding his serve, and you wonder how much is left in the tank to actually focus on trying to win the first few points of Federer's serve. No way. Just a simple flick. Not much racket work happening. But how are these two gets? Oh, that was, and it's all string, isn't it? It's just pure. And Roger celebrates as only he can, just casual flick of the finger in the air. That is a good game for Federer. Races through his 7th game. He leads 4-3, but we are still on serve here in the 4th set, and it's hotting up. The quality hitting is back. Both men are energised. There was a little bit of a lull there in the 3rd. I think fatigue had set in, mental and physical, but they are right back in the thick of things. And even on this change of ends, there's not a lull with the crowd atmosphere being ignited by the play of both these fellas. And let's put it into context here. It is it's just before 9 o'clock. The match is nearly 3 hours old, and we suspect there's a few more games to be played. If Djokovic wins this 4th set, I can't imagine they're going to start the 5th, because they like to have a clean out and give the guys an equal opportunity to come back tomorrow. So for Djokovic, well, it's a big advantage for Nadal, isn't it? To be in the locker room, 3 straight sets, and for this emotional match to be unfolding in front of him. Not to mention a physical match. I'm also thinking for Djokovic, if he can maintain some level of composure, try and take out this 4th set, back into the locker room and rest up. you consider how many times both men have been at end range just trying to dig balls out, and you know yourself, Mark, when you're at full stretch, as Federer is there and there, you wake up the next morning and you're a little sore. This match is going to take a toll on both players.
So this is just the game for Djokovic. Keep it nice and clean, brief if possible, so that there is something in the tank, in those legs. Possibly go about breaking the serve of Roger Federer.
When you see a serve that wild, you know there's a bit of fatigue.
Count against. Djokovic.
Only 131 Ks. That second serve, very short, just climbing up above shoulder height on Federer. Djokovic just trying to stay nice and loose. Get some juice and adrenaline flowing.
Saw the emotion from Novak just a couple of games ago when he served his way out of a love 30 situation. You could just see in his eyes he was back. And once again, he just dials in the consistency. Good weighted shot there, keeping Federer pinned. Stats show if Roger can get the job done in under 8 hits, he's in good shape. Anything over that, and he's in trouble. Slow ball again, but that one had genuine bite. He had gotten that slice on top of the rise, and he hit it with some authority, so it really bit into the clay and stayed low.
And Djokovic also looking for a shorter ball, but it actually came through at a good length.
Really a serving exhibition from both men. Phenomenal serving. hasn't used the wide serve much at all. And 4-all, 30-all, he goes wide. Second serve at 178 kilometres an hour on the line. Did we mention it's a serving exhibition? Djokovic there, a sarcastic smile, he can't believe it. For Roger, just watching these points, you know, for me, they're just getting a bit too much backhand cross-court, the rally's getting longer. But it's a big ask, isn't it, to take the risks that he was taking in the first set. You just have to be in such good position.
Well, is that the pressure that he's under? At 30-all, having to go for that big second serve, keep the point short, makes the error on that one. For Djokovic. Almost trying to overhit that backhand.
Tough ask, isn't it, if you told your player, when you play Novak, just give him junk. You might get some errors. These shots become more difficult to play when you just got that little bit of tension in your arm, in your wrist, in your hands, the racket head not quite as soft through impact.
And Wally, you know, the backhand that Djokovic missed on the previous juice point, you'd say that, you know, maybe some nerves, but that might have made Roger Federer very nervous. He goes ahead and misses that drop shot within the first hit, serves a double fault. Oh, it's just long. Oh, boy, oh, boy.
Tennis, what a game. That missed by, what, 1 or 2 centimetres? If that goes in, Federer, he had played the half volley into the stand, so it would have been game Djokovic. He would have been serving for the 4th. Back to deuce. He really used his legs there, Federer, and that's what you have to tell yourself when you're a little fatigued. Serve is so much about your leg strength and your leg drive up into the ball. Easy when you get a bit tired just to get a bit lazy in that respect, but Federer completely climbed over that second serve. Got the margin.
Not enough first serves into play by Federer over the last 4 or 5 points. Just get the feeling that there's a stronger need by Federer to try and win these points quick.
A centimetre or two again. And Djokovic can't believe it. All year long, he's been rolling the dice. He's been going for it, trying to make it happen. And it has worked in his favour. You've got to think with Roger there's a bit of fatigue in the legs. He's lost his margin on the serve, particularly in this game. You can see it's been great stats, but just that little bit of a decline in this game in particular. A couple of first serves out of the last 10. All going along, not getting up over the ball, dominating it.
And at this point of the match, Wally, I think the more that Federer plays the backhand slice, it just gives Djokovic that smell that he is tiring. I saw the miss-hit. And then, I mean, what a forehand for Djokovic to finish with.
He was almost mid-step when he made contact with that. He just pure racket head speed. Break point now for Djokovic. Oh, straight off the line. The return hits the service line and comes onto Federer at a rate of knots. That is a big miss-hit. And Novak Djokovic has turned this match around. He leads 5-4, fourth set. Can you believe it? The return hits the line flush and scoots low, giving Roger no chance to execute a forehand.
And the reaction by Djokovic, minimal. Looking up to his box there, but not the, leaping up into the air. He knows that he's fatigued, doesn't want to enrage the crowd any.
He definitely looks the stronger of the two, doesn't he? Roger looks just that half step heavy in the legs. And I think the fact that he couldn't buy a first serve shows us that the leg drive is not quite there.
And when the rally begins to unfold, certainly Djokovic, and that's where Wally, we said at the start of the match as well, where do you go to Djokovic? His ability to hit big from both forehand, backhand, at this particular stage of the match now is becoming, somewhat of a weapon for him, where Roger, if he's fatigued, he's out, is that backhand slice.
And it's not a positive slice, is it? It's really just reaching for the ball and guiding it back into the court. And Djokovic is playing a lot of measured shots off that and just working Federer over at the back of the court. Djokovic now serving for the fourth set. Better rally for Federer. He was able to get a couple of backhands down the line. That changes the pattern of play. And it's the wrong footing shot again. It sees Novak take a little slip. Just a rally he couldn't execute in the previous game, Federer. He was just feeling for the ball, going back cross court into the Djokovic backhand. I'll be honest, I didn't see this coming.
Oh, he's just allowing the ball to come into him, and he's just timing it so perfectly.
A nod of approval from Djokovic. Too good, he says. He's now down 3 break points. He's only served 6 aces for the match, Djokovic, but I reckon they've all been on break points.
Going to the well, out to the Federer backhand. It's just out of the hitting zone. Roger reverts to the chip, just trying to get it back into play, allowing Djokovic move forward and be aggressive. One more break point. Well, I'm not sure if the rally went on too much longer, that Federer might have come up trumps there. He had to pull the trigger very early.
But that's what he did, isn't it? He pulled the trigger. In that game, he rolled the dice. And that is the type of tennis that won him the first 2 sets. But I think a bit of fatigue and just the relentless pressure from Djokovic had worn Federer out to a degree, but the moment inspired him to an incredible game. Can he find his first serve? He does in the first point. The crowd, this is they've been really treated to something quite special here this afternoon. Right about now, Rafa's probably tucking into his paella, having room service. Watching these two boys still go at it 3 hours and 20 minutes later. The highest quality tennis.
Oh, now Djokovic showing us that he can step up to the plate under the gun.
This is how these guys practice. They wail, they hit every ball for what it's worth, and they're playing the way they practice, just free hitting.
By Djokovic. And it's not as if Federer's shot doesn't have anything on it, that it's lacking any depth or pace or spin.
Mark, that was only 181 kilometres an hour off the line, second serve.
Talk about the fine line that both of them have been walking throughout this match. And here is another moment right now for Roger Federer. It's like a trapeze artist. He's walking that line and he's remaining balanced.
Just keeps putting his feet in the right place, putting his serve in the right place. Once again, incredible accuracy.
Come on!
213 Ks. That's his biggest serve for the match. And what a time to find it. Juice. Now it's advantage Federer. He'll be talking to his legs, telling him to drive up. Both guys just taking each other on unbelievably here. Late in the evening in Paris, and Federer's got his nose in front in the fourth, 6 games to 5. It's a good contest, isn't it? They're just matching each other blow for blow, and one guy gets a little bit of a burst and you think the other guy's going to wilt. The other guy fires up straight back at him. Crowd are on their feet. Everybody is on their feet.
A good contest. You should be able to be a little more.
You want another superlative?
Descriptive.
An extraordinary contest, really. The way these two guys are just, it's like a battle of wills. And the hitting is resumed.
That's right. It has come alight into midway through this particular set, and haven't been any bad misses. Just been able to find the open court. Roger bringing out a fresh shirt. Bit of a late change of shirt just before the tiebreaker. So the closer we get, the louder this crowd will become. Djokovic out there, ready to serve. Federer taking some time, bringing in a new racket, and listen to that applause.
Merci, les joueurs sont prêts. Merci.
Change of racket, change of shirt. Federer's in for the long haul.
it's going to have to be that tremendous hitting by Roger Federer, I think, if he is able to find the center of the racket. Djokovic seems like he's playing with more safety from the backcourt.
It was extraordinary the way that Federer, out of the blue in that last Djokovic service game, he just seemed to be able to get on the front foot. And the rest of the time in this fourth set, he really has just been moving laterally and doing his best to get racket on ball. He can't really get behind it and control the points, but he found that little something extra in the previous service game. Can he do it now? Down 30-15. Roger Federer 2 points away from the French Open final.
Well, I don't think one of those drop shots has found its mark today, but it's the trust that Djokovic has built up, the confidence. Second serve under immense pressure, made that, belted down a couple of forehands and backhands.
Maybe not picking that ball up early in flight. He certainly had not made the adjusting steps to be in a good position. You're watching this match through your TV screen. That provides some artificial light. I can tell you, looking down at court level is pretty dark out there, and that ball would have come out of the crowd, and Novak almost seemed surprised. Back to deuce.
3 forehand errors by Djokovic in this game.
Let poisons.
That's that rally where Roger, he just can't get a piece of the ball. He's just reaching for it at end range, and that shot there I thought might give him a chance, but once again it's at end range. The gap is there, and Djokovic is fearless. Previous situation there, he played a little drop shot. That time he just thumps it line. So no question that Djokovic is in the ascendancy in these baseline rallies. Six all. We're in for a tie break. It is 9:30 in the evening. This is about as late as they usually play here in Paris. Couldn't possibly come off in a tie break situation. So we're going to play a tie break here. It's all or nothing for Novak Djokovic.
It's just amazing. 7 points away for Djokovic to be able to survive, come out and play another set. Roger Federer, if he can just lift his tempo. Go for it, try and urge himself, get those legs moving. Too good.
It's an investment that he has to make, isn't it? Early in the rally, he has to invest. There he skipped around and looked for a forehand, and he has no choice. It's what he has to do. Rather than run 3 and 4 balls laterally, he has to be so dynamic and invest as much energy as he can to make something happen early in the rally. Novak certainly seemed to have his measure once they get involved in a cross-court exchange.
And that's exactly what we're talking about.
It's a different pattern, isn't it, when he gets that cross-court forehand. Backhand to backhand, he's struggling with Djokovic. That's brave hitting. He has been so courageous throughout this 4th set in terms of how adventurous he is with his hitting.
He's had to come from behind in each of the service games. Just so much trust. So Federer with a chance here. Still has to keep looking for the forehand. Oh, my goodness, how did Djokovic even make that return?
And somebody from the crowd reacted thinking that Novak's shot was not coming back, and Roger not impressed. Almost willed that ball over Djokovic. 2-all. I suppose that's one way to break the cross-court rally pattern. I mean, it's hard to blame him trying to make something happen.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to be proactive, take control of the point.
He has to come out and win this, doesn't he? And it's about execution. If that goes over, he's 4-2 up, and it's really the way he has to play. He has to play a big game.
And no base when he made contact with that forehand. jumped all over it. Federer, can he find some juice in those legs?
Can he find the ball in the dark? He certainly can. And that is ace number 17. And has there been a more timely ace serve by Roger Federer?
5-3, Federer.
Not a lot of reaction by Djokovic.
6-3,
Straight around. Collect the balls, ready to try and survive the next 2 points.
He got there in plenty of time, Federer. He almost got the feeling he had options. Does he play a little drop shot in reply? He tried to knife it cross court. Outsmarted himself. Still 2 match points for Federer. And that is what this match has been about. Players just hitting winners on big points. Really, the level of this fourth, and in particular the first sets, has been quite extraordinary. So now Federer. A set point on his serve. Can he find the rhythm? A bit of flash photography. Djokovic doesn't want that to occur.
Well, Roger Federer moves into another final here at Roland-Garros.
Novak Djokovic.
Djokovic's unbeaten run comes to an end. And I'm sure that level of play would have survived many a battle, but not today. He pushed Roger Federer to a higher standard of play that we haven't seen of Roger. And the serve. He's had 3 first serves to finish off the 4th set tiebreaker.
An incredible match. Everybody's still on their feet. And let's not forget that Novak Djokovic, by losing that match, he falls 1 short of John McEnroe's 42 straight matches to start a season. So he ends 2011 at 41. But what an incredible match we've just seen here.